Hello everybody and welcome back to another YouTube video. I know it's been a while since my last video, so I want to make it a bit special, and in this video we're going to be talking about how you can save $75,000 as an E1 going away to an E3. Just kidding. Actually, I'm going to be talking about how you can save $100,000 without ever having to reach the rank of petty officer. And how exactly we're going to do this is going to be a lot different than before. So pay attention and take notes, and I hope I can provide some value to you guys for your future endeavors. Before we start, I ask that you please sink that like button to Davy Jones's locker. And with that being said, after you sunk it, then let's go ahead and begin the video. Okay, so first thing is first, we are going to start off as an E2. Now wait, before you click out of the video as you think that's a very hard thing to do, it's really not that daunting, and here's why. There are plenty of ways and options to actually become an E2 before you even join the Navy or even step foot in boot camp. Some of those ways include maybe bringing a friend into the office, and if he gets accepted into the Navy as well, you could come in as an E2, potentially E3. You could also have been in junior ROTC. You could have been in Sea Scouts. You could also negotiate with your recruiter. If there are certain rates that maybe are not available and your recruiter is really pushing you to get another job, be like, okay, I'll take it. However, is there some way that I can become an E2 with that? And also to add on top of that is researching what rates maybe provide early advancement. For example, some rates, if you go to A school and you graduate at the top of your class, you can potentially graduate to an E2 or even an E3. Also, another thing that you can do is while you're in boot camp, the paperwork that you get in debt, which is basically the program that you're kind of in before you get shipped off to the Navy, they'll give you paperwork to study up on, like the Sailor's Creed and stuff like that. Well, there's going to be a test on that in boot camp, and if you pass it, you could also make E2. Now, I didn't study at all, and I missed like 3 questions. So if you study it, you're more than likely going to be E2. So basically, the deal is it's really easy to make E2 as long as you negotiate with your recruiter and you see what other options are available. But I almost guarantee you that you can basically get in as an E2 or at least leave boot camp as an E2. Now, the second thing before you join is I would suggest that you choose a squadron rate. And the reason I would suggest that is because you can get 2 things much easier, and that is BAH and BAS. You will also get more special pay, which we'll talk about further in the video. And for those of you who are stationed on a ship or want ship orders, don't worry, I will give you some options on how to reach the goal as well. So now let's go over our situation. Hopefully you come in as an E2, you are hopefully in a squadron, you will also be in a 4-year contract, so you'll be receiving 96 paychecks. You will also see probably about 1 deployment, and of course, you will not make E4 as the point of this video. So let's start with everyone's favorite topic, and that is, what are you gonna get paid? Okay, so you're gonna be an E2 for 9 months, which will be 18 paychecks. Then you will be an E3 for 15 months, which will give you 30 paychecks, finishing out your 2 years. Then you'll get an increase of pay after your 2-year mark, which will make you an E3 for 12 months below 3 years, which will be 24 paychecks. And then you'll be an E3 above 3 years, being your last increase in pay, and you'll get about another 24 paychecks off of that. Now, the amount that you're paid in your paycheck was about the same amount that not only I was getting paid, but as well as my peers, and some less, some a little bit more, but these numbers seem to be the average, and honestly, definitely on the lower end. So more than likely, you're gonna get paid more than this, but just to make the math simple, right, with taxes taken out, for the first 18 paychecks as an E2, that'll be $750. And then the 30 paychecks as an E3 under 2 years, that'll be $810. Then you'll be an E3 above 3 years, and that paycheck will equate to about $870. And then you'll receive your last 24 paychecks, equaling out to 96 paychecks. And then that'll be as an E3 above 3 years, and that will be about $950. So if you do the math and you times the 18 paychecks times 750, you'll get $13,500. Then you multiply the 30 paychecks by 810, and you'll get the $24,300. And then your next or third year in the military, you'll be receiving $20,880. And in the last year of the military, you will be receiving $22,800. This will bring up your grand total to $81,480. Now, there are two more secure ways that you know you're gonna get paid extra no matter what, and that's going to be your tax return and your clothing stipend. Now, with tax return, expect to get about $900 per tax return, so per year, so 4 years, so multiply 900 times 4, and that's gonna get you $3,600. Some people got less, some people got more because they worked at a previous job, and if you get like 800 or even 700, you're probably gonna get paid more next time because obviously as you are in the Navy longer, you're gonna get paid more, you're gonna be paying more in taxes, and you'll get a bigger tax return because of that. As well as your clothing stipend. You'll be receiving $300 and something for your basic clothing allowance, and then your last year in the military, your 4th year, you'll be receiving the standard Navy clothing allowance, which is about $511, totaling up to $1,584. This brings us to a new grand total of $86,664, no matter what. Now, this is where it's gonna be up to you, and this is kind of where it stops from the last video. You're gonna need about $13,336 left to get to that $100,000 threshold. So I'm gonna bring in the first option, and that is a squadron deployment. And this is why I recommend a squadron, because if you are able to get into a squadron, and if you are luckily and hopefully enough to get in a squadron that gets deployed into a foreign country, well, first of all, congratulations, because you're gonna be getting paid a lot more money than the average Joe sailor. That is because if you get stationed to a place like Korea or Bahrain or Japan, which seems to be the common places, but not limited to those places, as you could get stationed in Rota, Spain, Germany, and other bases. But per diem on the low end is probably gonna be about $60 per day. Yes, per day, all tax free. So assuming you go on a 6-month deployment, which is about the norm, that is 180 days. So if you multiply that by $60, just one deployment in your entire 4-year contract, which most likely you're gonna see, that is an extra $10,800 tax free, right? Now that will bring up our new total to $97,464. Another reason why I advocate so strongly for these squadrons is because in my opinion and experience, it's much easier to get BAS in a squadron compared to a ship. Typically, if you are in a squadron for your first time, you'll be placed on mids or night check. Mids is essentially from the hours of about 11 to 7 in the morning, and night check from about 3:15 to about 11 o'clock, 10-11. This means that the galley on base is closed, and obviously you need to get fed, so the Navy will give you basically money to go out and buy food, and this rate is called BAS. And for this current year of 2021, this amount of money will be $386.50. Now, an important thing I need to tell you guys right now, right off the bat, save at least half of that. That will equivalent to about $48 a week for one person. And let me tell you, that is extremely plausible, okay? It is so possible to do that, and if I can do it on a budget for 2 people, all right, that's dinner, lunch, and breakfast backwards, but you know, no in specific order, then you can do it. I know that you can do it. Some of the ways is you can basically shop, you know, Walmart brands or Aldi's. I like to do buy in bulk. But just, I know you can save at least half, which will give you about $193.25. And assuming you only get it for 2 years, just 2 years, not even 4 years, okay? I was like given the more worst case scenario, but just for 2 years, that will equivalent to about $4,638. This brings up your new total to $102,102. So right there, you just crossed the $100,000 threshold. Congratulations. But we are missing one thing, and that is your budget. Now for your budget, I'm gonna be giving you, don't get mad at me by saying this, $125. Now, I said in my previous video, you can definitely live off the Navy, which much less than that, but I get it, we're all young, especially joining in. So I feel like I'm actually giving a little bit more wiggle room with 125. I understand if you have bills, but I'm definitely gonna give you more options and other ways of making more money. So don't worry, So don't worry about that. And but yeah, let's get continuing. So yeah, assuming you have a $125 budget and you multiply that by 48, which is the amount of months that you'll be in the military, that means you'll be spending about $6,000 for those 4 years that you're in. And if you subtract that from the $102,000, well, now you need about $3,897 to cross back over that threshold. Now, if you are on a ship, it is going to be a bit harder in my opinion. So that kind of brings me to my next point is how are you going to kind of get that if you are in a squadron that's attached to a ship or if you are a ship's company? Well, you do get something called sea pay. That on the low end is about $60 starting off. And that's going to be per month. And if you aren't a squadron but you're attached to a ship instead of getting deployed out to a foreign country, you will go on something called debt, which is either going to be to Key West or Fallon or one other place, but I can't really remember right now. But those are the two main ones, is Key West and Fallon. And you'll also be receiving per diem. And it's not a far stretch of the imagination to say you'll go there for at least 2 times out of your entire 4-year career. So that'll equivalent to 2 months or 60 days. And the per diem on the low end for those places, it's going to be Fallon, but it'll be about $55, right? So you times that by 60 days, and that'll give you $3,300. Key West is actually a little bit more. I think it's about 65, but again, I like doing the more worst case scenario. So we're just gonna assume 55 times 60 days for your per diem. So to go over the scenarios, in scenario 1, assuming that you are just in a foreign squadron, again, here in a squadron, you'll be receiving your E2 pay. You'll also be getting the base pay, which is the amount of pay that I said in the beginning of this video, also including with your clothing stipend and your tax returns. You'll be on that 6-month deployment with that $60 per diem. And you'll have at least 2 years of half of that BAS saved up, and then the 2 months of debt equating to $3,300. And then of course, minus the $6,000, this will give you a total of $99,402. Scenario 2, if you're on a ship squadron, you'll be receiving your E2 pay, also the base pay, which is the same as before, your 2 months in debt, so the $3,300, BAS for 2 years, and your tax-free pay, because if you're on a ship, chances are that deployment might last, even if it's for only 4 months, the extra sea pay, potential tax pay, the more amount of money you'll save because you're on a ship and you're not spending money. And if you are on a flight deck, or you'll get flight deck pay. But chances are, if you go on deployment, it's almost guaranteed you're gonna save at least an extra $1,000. So we're just gonna say an extra $1,000 tax-free, and then again, minus the $6,000 budget, and that's gonna give you $89,602 you could potentially save by being in a squadron attached to a ship. And then scenario 3 is just ship company. So you'll be receiving your E2 pay, your base pay, a tax-free pay now with $2,500. There I'm including stuff like maybe flight deck pay, your carrier sea pay. You're probably gonna see more than 2 deployments. It's pretty normal to see at least 1 to 2 deployments. So again, it's not a far stretch of the imagination to say that you'll be receiving at least $2,500 just by being on a ship. You also get separation pay if you do have a family. Again, you won't be really receiving BAS or BAH because there is a galley on the ship, and you also do have a rack on the ship. That's why I prefer a squadron over a ship, because ship's company, usually they won't be as nice as giving you these amenities as they will a squadron. But nonetheless, that'll give you about $83,164. Now, obviously, none of these scenarios get you to that $100,000 goal. So this is what I'm going to try to do. You can try to add some other things. And by what I mean by these other things is, well, I didn't include an enlistment bonus. And this goes back into the whole negotiation with your recruiter. Some rates, if you apply for them, you'll get an enlistment bonus. Sometimes this can range from about $2,000 all the way to about $48,000, $60,000 depending on the rate. However, the most common one you're probably going to see is maybe like $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. $5,000 actually seems to be fairly common, especially when I joined. But I wasn't thinking at the time, and I just wanted a rate that could be with jets, and I didn't care nothing about the amount of money that the rates could pay me or the enlistment bonus. And honestly, I do regret that. But also, if they're still doing it, usually they'll have a PFA sort of incentive, where if you pass your first PFA in boot camp, they'll give you $2,000 off the bat. $2,000 just for doing a certain amount of push-ups, running, basically just the simplest stuff, sit-ups, and you'll get $2,000 there right off the bat. Also, do your research and pick the best rates. Let's say, for example, you pick EM, and EM is undermanned. So let's say they're A school, right? If you're on the top of the class, you could potentially be in E3, and then boom, you kind of skipped like 20 paychecks of being E2, right? And you'll be receiving an E3 pay. Or at some rates, you can go in as an E3 because they're just that undermanned. And this is where you're gonna have to talk with your recruiter, and you need to negotiate with them, all right? So it's not common that you'll get a recruiter that will screw you over. I will say most recruiters do really want to help you in your career, but there are some recruiters out there that really just want to get you on that bus, and sometimes you just are another number for them. So you need to do your own due diligence and really tell them, like, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. If I can't get this job, then I want an enlistment bonus for this rate, and if I can't get that, then I want an enlistment bonus for this rate, or I want some sort of incentive money-wise, right, to get me. Like, basically they're interviewing you, right? Like, they are recruiting you. So you mostly have the power in that scenario. So ask, there's no harm in asking, what are some of the ways that I can make extra money? What are some rates that are offering this extra incentive that I can take advantage of? So also, you could save more. I only gave you $125, but if you really want to save more, you could save more in your BAS, in your savings, and also in your BAH. That is something I didn't really say. You could also acquire BAH if you're not a petty officer. It's going to be a bit harder. I will say that if you're not a petty officer, it's going to be harder for you to get BAS or BAH, as that could be one of the requirements. But assuming you get BAH, you must find a roommate. And this is just for 1 year. Just 1 year, your last year of the military. If you can get BAH, okay, and you save at least $650, which means you find a roommate, okay? You need to find a roommate for this to work. All right, find a roommate, don't be scared. If you find a roommate and you save $650 times 12 months, that's gonna give you an extra $7,800, okay? And one of the ways you can do that, be the top of your squadron, right? Be the top of your class. Try to stand out, because if you stand out and your squadron sees it and you tell them, you're like, hey, what do I need to do? What's the A, B, C, D? What's the direction I need to get get BAH and BAS? And that is the mission. That's what you're focused on. If they say, hey, you need to get your pins, you need to get these quals, well, then do it. Do it, because if you do it, you do get paid more. There is an incentive. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, everyone gets paid the same. Why do I got to work harder? Well, if you do, you can get potentially BAS or BAH at the very least your last year in the military, and get thousands of more dollars for your extra work put in. So I advocate for, there is an incentive for working hard, you guys. Another thing is you can take that $6,000 I was telling you that were gonna be for your budget, use that as an advance. So once you're in and once you get that $6,000, okay, I would actually advise buying a car, but the only reason I would advise buying a car is if you're gonna use it to make money, okay? Because if you use it to make money, you can, drive to, let's say, an officer's house. I would suggest maybe asking your higher enlisted or officers, asking, hey, can I mow your lawn? Because typically they'll have nicer houses, and they kind of care about their image a little bit more. And they're always trying to help out a fellow sailor. So you can ask them to mow their lawn, or just some work around their house, some yard work, or you could, I advocate for food delivery. It's not hard to get $50 a week, okay? It's even on the slowest days, $50 per week with any food delivery app is the simplest thing to do. Even washing windows, I would suggest getting a car under $3,000, and including insurance and gas. It'll help you get to that $100,000 goal much faster. And overall, just explore, just ask around. There's no harm in asking and figuring out information for yourself. Like I said, it can be you asking about, how can I get BH and BAS faster? How can I get there, right? Asking your recruiter, negotiating with your recruiter. If I can't get this incentive, what other incentives can I get? What rates are providing the most amount of money for my sign-up bonus, right? What rates will I most likely get put into a squadron? Some of those are ADs, AMs, ASs. Well, although there are ship-based AMs and ADs and ASs and other squadron rates, most of them do go to squadrons, because that's where most of them are they're needed. So I would ask around for that, and just ask. There's no harm in asking. You need to do your own due diligence and do your own research and see what sign-up bonuses and enlistments are. You need to look around. Also, another thing I advocate for is investing in stocks. You have 4 years to potentially, make a lot of money in the stock market. Even if you invest in value stocks, 4 years is a decent amount of time for you to see a good return on your money. Like I said, that first scenario, you only need about a couple $1,000s more, and even the worst scenario, you need about $15,000 more. If you get creative, $15,000 over the course of 4 years is almost, it's if you, like I said before, if you really want it, I know you will find a way. And I really believe in you guys, and drop a comment down below, tell me how it's going. I really do want to hear your guys' side of the story, what you guys are planning to do. I'd love to give you guys more advice down in the comments as well. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for this video. And if you do all those things that I said, like I said, I guarantee you that you will come out of the military with a 4-year contract with $100,000, and you can do with that whatever you see fit. So congratulations. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's been a while since my last video, so I hope this video kind of makes up for that lost time with the value that I provided. And with that value, if you think I've earned it, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel for similar content on finance, military videos, and personal life advice. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sink that like button to Davy Jones's locker, and I will see you guys in the next video.